Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulina. Welcome to Islamic Finance Podcast. You are part of the podcast.
Yeah, now I am.
With me, Almir Cholan, your host, my daughter, Maryam. How are you, Maryam?
I'm a little bit stressed
Why you are stressed?
because my exam week is this week.
So many exams, so much stress.
Yeah.
What are you most stressed about?
Speaking exams.
Speaking exam, that's all right. It should be easy.
Sure.
But you know what will help?
What?
The most important part of the week, the things that makes everything easy. Simultaneous sip, and our listeners, they know it very well.
We've run out of our Moroccan mint. Maybe
Yeah.
we should grab some more of that one.
So you made me coffee. And what did you make for yourself?
Cinnamon tea.
Cinnamon tea. Okay. I don't know what that means, but in any case, I think we are ready, and we invite all of you to join us for this beautiful custom that we already made. In 3, 2, 1, Bismillah. Nice. What sort of coffee is this?
The Colombian one.
You made the milk quite well. What's been happening in the last week with you?
Today I went to a place and it was just off the Calder freeway. Just very interesting how, we're driving by all the time on this freeway. You don't even know that there's a national park right there. And there were so many people. It was some rock formations from a volcano that erupted 1 million years ago.
I remember I was at one mountain a couple of hours from here, and it was volcanic trees and vegetation that grows there is much different than in the rest of Australia because of the type of the rocks and the soil, and depending on what type of foundation you have, what type of minerals and everything else you have in that ground, it reflects in the fruit. Even the water, when you drink water from certain areas, you can feel the minerals.
Yeah.
Last week we had some news, so this episode will be about what's happening in the news, and more specifically in the stock markets. There are some topics that we left off, we didn't finalize, so we'll get to that. But what's been happening on the stock markets was quite interesting. Elon Musk tweeted something along the line where he said, if you don't have a house, you cannot sell it. If you don't own the car, you cannot sell the car. How come you can sell stock that you don't have? And he called it a scam. So I retweeted and said, this is Islamic Finance 101. The whole story about him tweeting about this was because what was happening in the news with regard to this a company called GameStop and attack by these short sellers, the hedge funds. And the reason why he is particularly interested in this is because few times they attack his company Tesla, and his wealth is linked with the share price of the Tesla. Also, his bonus is linked based on the performance of those shares. So if the share price reach certain level, they're going to give him more stock. So he's got some serious skin in the game, and he hates these people. A lot of people were tagging me on social media and asking for some comment. So I thought maybe it would be a good time to discuss that. Some of the grand titles that were given to this, one of them was, it is David versus Goliath type of battle, And I think it's appropriate because it's like a warfare, and it's a financial warfare. Maybe there is no David here, but in any case, the reason for this metaphor is that if you remember the story, Prophet Dawood, he defeated this giant warrior, Jalut, Goliath, with a single shot from his slingshot. That was when two armies met. Leader of the enemy army challenged anyone to fight him. So this young boy killed him. The whole metaphor is very interesting because here we have little guy fighting giant institution. So in our case, we had certain small-scale traders, and they were gathered around a Reddit thread called WallStreetBets. And they have been monitoring this relentless shorting of a company called GameStop. This shortening of stock was done by a big Wall Street hedge funds for months. This company sells the games and consoles and all of the merchandise. So it has a lot of sentimental value for these younger millennials. When they realize that these hedge funds are attacking and shorting the stocks, meaning they're trying to profit from demolishing the stock, pushing the stock to go down. And you can imagine, especially in the COVID situation, a lot of retail is already struggling. People buy digital games online. So if you are selling physical games, memorabilia and things like that, so you are like a blockbuster and there is a Netflix coming. Those Reddit warriors, whatever you want to call them, they realize that look at these hedge funds. They have no mercy. They're sucking our blood anyway at any given moment in time. And now they are attacking this. So some of them realize that a lot of stock is already shorted. It means that they have deployed certain financial weapons, let's call it, let's follow analogy, in order to benefit from killing these companies or bringing their stock price down. So shorting is one of those ways. We'll talk about later a little bit how that works. But defense force, those Reddit warriors, they decided to fight back. And the way to fight back is to squeeze these big guys out of these positions. That's called short squeeze. So short selling is attack to bring down and benefit from bringing down somebody. Short squeeze is to push somebody out of those positions. And how you do that? By pushing the price up. So they started using these apps. Very popular one of them was Robinhood, which was supposed to be very friendly to millennials and no fees. And, and there are hidden fees, but they market themselves as Robinhood. Robinhood used to take from rich and gave to poor. So that's how they market themselves. Of course, behind this Robinhood and others trading platform, there are same big hedge investment funds and so on, big rich guys, Wall Street. So when they started attacking, the Robinhood shut down trading because what started happening is when they push these positions, price goes up. And Wall Street was hoping the price will go down. Now the price takes the wrong turn up. So that means that hedge funds are losing. So let's say price was 50, for example. I don't know exactly, but it was going between 20 and 60. Last year, I think it was $5. When this doubles, you lose double if you are shorting position. So that meant that some of these were losing billions of dollars. More they start losing money, these guys who have a bets, because that's what it is, it's just a casino. You're just betting one against another. So more they push price, more you losing your position, more you are forced to buy now stock to insure yourself against further rise. So let's say stock was 50. Now you say it will go down and you're hoping it will go down, let's say 50%. So most you hope to gain was $25 per share, okay? But now the stock is 100. So now you're losing 50. On every dollar you were thinking to get 25, you're losing 50. Going to 200, 300. Now you're losing enormous amount of money. So in order to stop your loss, what you need to do, you need to buy that stock at that price. And those banks that issue options as well, which is another way that they bet on this, without even buying the stock, they now need to cover themselves and they need to buy even more stock. So what happens with the stock now? It pushes itself even more. We don't know yet scenarios, but you can be fairly certain. Algorithm, high frequency trading, these are your computers who just kick in when they recognize certain trends. So they see something is going up or down, they act accordingly. So you could now see algorithms trading, all of these banks, people who need to cover their position, and the other Reddit traders. Everybody start pushing the price up. And the whole battle was quite interesting because going back to Dawood and Jalut, you have this young man facing a very well armored warrior. Dawood was very light, mobile, precise. This is how normally advancement and progress goes. You have more precise, more modern, more lighter weapons. And in one of the hadith, Prophet ﷺ said, the strength is in targeting or in throwing, archery. So even when you look at, for instance, now in war, you will see that the more flexible and lighter weapons will beat the old, heavy, think of today Cold War weapon, tanks. A month or two ago, we had a war in Azerbaijan, and I was watching these Turkish drones destroy heavy artillery. So when it comes to financial targeting, this precise hitting by people around Reddit, organized through the social media, it would be normally considered collusion. But these guys, by precisely targeting one specific stock, because if they go and fight Wall Street, if the Dawood fight Goliath, by being more stronger, bringing heavy armor, and try to
Beat him at
his own game, there's no way he can succeed. But what he's looking for is opening. He needs one kill shot. So they figured out what's the one kill shot against Wall Street is they are heavily going on this stock, for example. Somebody was saying 100% of it there was more shorted stock than the stock itself. So by pushing it heavy, focusing all attention on that one, they inflicted heavy losses on the Wall Street. And now there are different attacks. They're trying to push now some Doge coins, like obscure coin, that is 0.1, the cryptocurrency, or silver, or BlackBerry, Nokia, some of these stocks. It's crazy, like how that all is kind of happening. And even the meme started. This was called meme trading or meme revolution. People connected with the Arab Spring. They go full on in terms of the coverage. There were some memes I was reading today, and one of them says, boys with the time machine, and then down it's like person saying to himself, buy as much GameStop stock as you can, trust me. And this one is saying, okay. And another meme was saying, I'm sorry, did the wrong people manipulate the market? So a lot of people are saying, is this the end of capitalism? Will things be the same after this? I'm afraid that things are not as simple as that. There are certain things we should be paying attention to understand what is going on. We need to break down the news, and we need to educate ourselves to make a smarter decision. So question becomes then, who are first of all these traders? Are they anarchists, some millennial investors, traders? Some people investing their student loans and savings. So there are all kinds of different people. A lot of guys who are hoping to strike gold, and usually with the guys there is something that compels them. It's a part of the game, part of the gamble, part of excitement, part of them feeling that they want to make it. So there is a lot of reason what draws people to engage in these kinds of behaviors. And one of these was perhaps instinct to protect this company with which they form sentimental attachment against attack from Wall Street. But make no mistake, I say to the people, this is pure gambling. This whole thing, what we have made, it's a zero-sum game. Meaning, someone gain comes from someone loss. And someone loss is someone's game. Also, this doesn't help much the actual company itself. When share price go up and down, it has nothing to do with the company. It's happening in secondary market where people are buying and selling their own stock. So you cannot technically bankrupt or destroy a company. For example, Apple, they will sell number of iPhones, MacBooks, whatever, and they will distribute the profit to the shareholders, regardless of their price. It might have some secondary issues. For example, overall look of the company might be seen as risky, so that might limit the access to capital. For example, if you're talking about the banks, short selling when they bring their price down will increase the cost of borrowing for the banks. So it has that impact. So during the global financial crisis, when you have seen a lot of these activities, the short selling was prohibited, regulated, especially for the banks. Other impact could be on board members, on CEOs of these companies whose bonuses are usually tied with this performance. When it comes to short selling or shorting other things other than stock like currencies, that could have some real impact. Recently, we have seen Turkish lira was shorted and attacked. Istanbul Exchange Bursa imposed a ban on several institutions in order to protect. Because once you attack the currency, it has flow effect. It could impact economy, politics. It could undermine the government. Biggest example of this shorting of the currency was in the 90s when the Soros was shorting British pound, and he made $1 billion on that short. And they call him the man who broke the pound, or the Bank of England.
I can't believe that I'm living at a time where such an event is happening and I know what's happening. So I just graduated with an economics degree. But you can't believe that it really happens.
And we don't know full story in some aspects, like there could be other players, because it's a warfare. People are betting. Could there be other people involved? We don't know. But let's see what is short selling, and then what is Islamically our thinking about whole of this phenomenon, and some of the ways that people try to Islamize this short selling. So short selling, this is how Investopedia explains. Let's say you want to short Tesla stock. So investor thinks that Tesla stock is overvalued at, let's say, $625 per share. And they hope that price will drop. What they do is they borrow 10 shares of Tesla from their broker. So they are not buying it, they are borrowing it. Then sell it for the current price, which is $625. If the stock goes down to 500, investor buy the 10 shares back at this price and then return these shares to their broker. The net profit will be $1,250.
For the investor.
Yeah. 6,250 was the price of original stock, just 10 shares. And then they purchase it back at 5,000. So the net difference is 1,250. But if the Tesla price rise to 700, the investor will lose 750, which would be the difference.
But no matter what, the investor has to buy back because they have to give it back to the owner of the share.
That's right. They are on the hook. Why would people do these kind of things? So one is speculative. They just want to profit from this. Another one is they sometimes use it as an insurance hedge against some other position in some other stock. Often people who are in favor of this, they say that this is a good mechanism to burst the price of overvalued stock. Too much price, too big a bubble, you want to burst. And they say it also provides liquidity, meaning people can buy and sell a lot more. There's more participants, more liquidity, more things are happening. So it's good for everybody. When you look at in all of this, if I engage myself in short selling, entire profit and loss is like in the gambling. Either you win this or I win, or I am benefiting from your loss, or other way around. So this is why we call this zero-sum game. This is pure gambling, whatever way you look at it. We're just using the stock as a benchmark against which we are gambling. And if we look at the derivatives and the way people bet with them, this zero-sum game will be even more obvious. And so you are not participating like investor in economic activity from performance of the business. You're just guessing, and through the guessing, you're just profiting and somebody's losing. What is the problem with the short selling from Islamic perspective? First of all, even without
speculation.
It's a pure speculation. Even if we didn't know anything, if you are an ethical person, you don't want to profit from other people losing. In every business, you profit from creating value, selling something that benefits people, and you gain, your customers gain, everybody gain in business. Or if you lose, everybody lose. But only in casino, one side win when other loses. So here we have that. But we also have, the Prophet ﷺ said, don't sell what you don't have. This is why I said this is 101 Islamic finance. And what it means here, there's a lot of meanings in this. But one thing people mix up in this, sometimes people mix this up that something has to exist or not exist. Okay, so they will give you example about how come then a contract like salam is allowed, where you can buy fruits. I say, here's $10, give me some dates in the future. Okay, so those days don't exist. It is true that hadith does not necessarily mean whether something exists or doesn't exist. It's a point is, can you deliver something? And so there's a rule on that. But here, what we mean specifically is you are selling something that you are not the owner. So think of it. You have shares in this company, and suddenly you borrow, and then I sell it to somebody else. So it becomes more shares. This is short stock. So how does that make sense? You are the owner, then I'm the owner, then I sell it, then what's going on? So when we are talking about you cannot sell something that you don't have, we cannot have more than one owner of something. That doesn't make any sense. Here, this principle applies in the sense that when you borrow stock, you cannot sell that stock. You borrow my car, you use it. You are not the owner of the asset. When you sell the car, who is now the owner? Am I the owner of the stock? Is that person the owner of the stock? This is inconsistency. This is the wrong way to make a contract. So just from the basic contract point of view, this is invalid way of doing the contract. Yeah. Now, some of these people are saying that we can make it Islamic then, because there's nothing wrong with this. But the thing here is that this contract works like leasing something. Yeah. You pay some fee to hold it. So this is like a renting. You're renting the stock. So salam is the sale, so it wouldn't work. But people think that because in that case, in case of Selam, you can buy something cheaper now, so it's like short selling. But you don't benefit because the price are going down. You might benefit if the price are going up because you purchased at a good price for yourself. And the reason why you purchase at discounted price is the same reason that you get a better price if you buy in bulk something. So whether you buy in bulk or you pay in advance, often you benefit. The price is cheaper than if you buy on the spot and individual items, for example. So it's very different than short selling, gambling, and all of the other things. You don't have any other exposure. In a similar way, some people try to, with a combination of promises, murabaha, deposit making mechanism, mixing these old a couple of bags of tricks, they try to make it as something that is Islamic. So always this rely on combining different things, and in the background, it's a fake and synthetic trade. It's not really happening. Nothing is really happening. So somebody promised something that they will do something, and then they buy on spot and sell on credit, and nothing is really happening. It's just fake words on paper to say, do you see, now Sharia compliant, we are doing some trading, and they're creating this gambling. Even if they want to create casino now, if you want to go Las Vegas casino, I'm sure with this same idea, if we accept this as a legitimate Sharia compliant way of contracting, you can recreate a poker and I don't know what the other names of the other games are. You can recreate all of that if that's the Sharia compliant way of doing business. Obviously, it is not. Maybe in the future we can a little bit look more into details about how they do it or precise. I would probably need a board. Maybe I'll make it for my YouTube video channel. But what we need to know is that this is a pure gambling. It violates the Islamic law of contract. Essence of it is profiting from something that goes down. The only way you should make gain is by creating benefit, not by destroying somebody's. Imagine if I have insurance where you get paid insurance when somebody else's house burns down. That doesn't make sense. So even if you have a clear bag of tricks and you put a little bit of herbs and spices and say, okay, this is Sharia compliant, it is not Sharia compliant. And if you look deeper, all of those fake transactions are not justification to do these kind of gambling tricks. My advice to the people who might be interested in this, Sharia lays down rules for our benefit. If we stick with these rules and the spirit and the letter of Sharia, it's for our benefit. You know, I was reading on one of the websites, they say why Allah put these rules on us, that we worship Him, that we do this and that. Does He, subhanahu wa ta'ala, needs this? And the author said, He does not need us to worship Him, but He's happy to see us benefit from these rules. So these Islamic rules are there to help and benefit us. A lot of young people, they are looking and they are angry at a lot of what's going on in the world. They want to make money. They want to provide. These shortcuts, where you are just speculatively trading left, right, and center every minute and staring at your screen, and most of them go from either pure haram to very, very problematic activity. So my advice is be happy with what you have. Try to profit only from things that create some real benefits. These speculative activities, these are very deeply problematic from Islamic point of view. We should not involve ourselves. We should be content with what we have. If we want to invest in some companies that you take dividends from, that you're happy with, and then you want to benefit from the underlying economic activities, not through speculative guessing the prices. And if you really want to do something, study, get a good job, or start a business, or help somebody start a business so you create something. Think of it in this way. What is the money? Money is something that people give you because you're giving them some values. Why would money come to you? You are destroying other people's livelihood through gambling. Sharia protects the money. One of the aims of the Sharia is to protect the wealth of other people. And you should exchange wealth only through mutual consent, through trade. So when you are taking money from other people through these speculative gambling instruments, pushing it down, not providing any values, you caught them in some trick. Really, is that what we as a Muslim should be doing. So what I would hope that especially young people, especially young men think, they need to think about, as somebody put it, what is their economic engine? What is making me profit? Educate yourself. Work for somebody or work for yourself or help somebody or start something, or but what is your source of income? Needs to be coming from something that is real. I don't want to say to the people, everybody needs to do this work or that work. Any kind of either careers or investment in something that is tangible needs to, at the end, make money from something that is tangible, that is real, that is enriching our economy. That can't be quick, shortcut benefit. We need to have a long-term strategy, because this short-term sickness is what driving these short-term sellers. And yes, we are now looking because they're ganging against the Wall Street. But a lot of these traders who are doing that, until yesterday, they were dreaming of these recessions. And if you don't have an ethics and you are using these tools, tomorrow you'll be doing the same short selling. Now sentimental value is pushing you to stick with the small players and these companies. But many of these traders, they are using the same techniques. And so we have created the whole marketplace, stock market, as a place of huge gambling. Most of it is done through machines, through these apps. Everybody is just speculating. And so when you take a net effect, what they call, this is done to increase liquidity. This is only increasing liquidity to make this casino economy, not the real purpose of the market, which is to connect investors with the real companies to tackle real life problems. We have created, unfortunately, we have made the whole casino out of the stock market and out of everything, commodities, stocks, golds, anything. And we are not providing any real benefit. So the young person who is involving himself in that is really, okay, you're making money and 90% are losing money, maybe more than 90%. But they are more important losing the time and skills that they could be developing in something that is beneficial. They are adding no value, even if they make millions. They are adding zero value to the world. No one needs this. Okay, so that's my advice. I would love to see young people develop themselves, contribute to the society, solve some real problems, work on their career, education, or building the businesses. Whatever you can do that. I don't want to say everybody should become entrepreneur like Musk, start your own business. If you can, that's great. We need that. But at least think that money I'm earning comes because I'm giving to somebody some value and they are giving me their money. If I'm not giving any value, if I'm not contributing and I'm getting money, ask yourself, does this make sense? I think at the end there won't be winners. There'll be a lot of losers, even amongst those Reddit traders. When it's reached the peak, a lot of them will be caught holding that stock, which they bought at overpriced values. The company doesn't have fundamentals to sustain that.
Yeah.
So it will come crashing down. So yes, big businesses, big Wall Street will lose. That loss will go to another Wall Street company. So Wall Street companies are just, you didn't destroy them. It's not going to be end of these companies. They're just transferring wealth to one. His loss of big hedge fund is gain of another hedge fund that gave him the stock. So it's circulating between them. And the losses, some gains will be made by Reddit users, like this guy that I said. But vast majority will be caught holding this stock that they purchased at $100, $200 and then they crushed. They will lose their savings, hard-earned money. So one guy was talking how he's tutoring people and getting all of his money from being a student he makes, and then he lost it. So not only hedge funds, but a lot of these traders, young people, will be caught losing this money. There's been a lot of losers. Okay. And definitely that company is not going to benefit anything. You know what's going to benefit this? I've seen some people, they're going into store and buying some of these Nintendo Switch games and giving it to charity to the kids who have a cancer. And you want to support the place? Shop there.
Yeah.
Figure out new way of doing business. Yeah. How can these companies transition post-corona in the digital world into something else? And this is where, again, creating that value, connecting with people, this is a much better game. If you want to solve, you want to be helpful for real, you need to make fundamental change on the ground. It's been a lot of information here. I might again make a small video about this as well so that people have some visual. But yeah, that's what I've been thinking. I've been watching and reading and, not sure how to feel about a lot of what's going on. But that's just, I think, summarize. I'll let it go off my chest for you.
Yeah.
All of it that I've been reading last 2 days.
Yeah.
So that's a brief summary.
It's very interesting that young people got so caught in the hype. Everyone's like, oh yes, easy way to make money. And then there'll be a lot of more loss. And the people who got on the hype late, it's just a problem. And then they might start hoping that another stock would rise like that, blah blah blah, and then it's not
like in the
real.
pyramid scheme. If you think pyramid scheme, people who go to the bottom last, people who get onto hype, they're gonna
biggest losers.
Biggest losers. So here is similar point. And the thing is, what will be the next thing? What if somebody decides to orchestrate these kind of things more often for their own benefit? A couple of years ago, there was this one big hedge fund, maybe 2 years ago, can't remember, big hedge fund manager. He went on TV, he started crying, economy is going to collapse, America's going to shut down everything. And people started panicking. And he was shorting these stocks that he was talking about. So he made a hype and then he benefited. So we shouldn't be so foolish. We should rethink, why do we need these tools? If we prohibit them in global financial crisis, they should be prohibited all the time. If they are not good for the crisis, if they are destabilizing, if all of that, we should be prohibiting these things. We should also be more smarter because these days everybody's easy to hype people through this.
Yeah, so easy. Oh my God. Everyone's now interested in stocks and how do you put money?
I never seen people more interested in finance and these kind of things.
Truly.
Yesterday, they didn't know the difference between stock and a bond. Today, they're giving you financial advices where to invest. So it's very dangerous. And if the only reason is people are buying because stock is rising or because they're trying to gang up against somebody, that's not very good strategy. Yeah. All right. That's it from us. Please subscribe. We have links to connect with us in the show notes. Also our Telegram channel and email list so that you get notification about our episode as we release them. Thank you very much. All the best. Assalamu alaikum.